Okay.
Perfect. Thank you, Julie. Everyone enjoy.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Sandler-Friedman, and this is a lecture demo. I hope you're going to move with me, even if I can't see you. And it's on exercise and movement after mastectomy. And as I said, I hope it will not just be a lecture. I hope it will really be exercise and movement. And the first thing I want to say is that there are lots of different kinds of mastectomy surgery. If you're here, you either had a mastectomy or you're going to have a mastectomy, or you know someone who had a mastectomy, or you're taking care of someone who had a mastectomy. So it's not simple anymore if it ever was. There's lots of kinds of mastectomy. There's simple mastectomy where they don't take the lymph nodes, and then radical mastectomy where they do. There's where you go flat and you're not going to have reconstruction. There is skin sparing mastectomy where the skin is spared and reconstruction is begun, even though it's a full mastectomy. There is also nipple sparing mastectomy. And now there is also immediate lymphatic reconstruction at the same time as surgery, which again affects how you're going to exercise. And then if you are having reconstruction, everything's different depending on where, if the tissue is taken from your own body, where it's being taken from. If you're familiar with these terms, a tram flap or a gap flap or a DIEP, those are all different. But in all of those cases, although you have to be very clear with your medical team what are the exercise restrictions that apply in each case, there's some things that are the same across the board. And no matter what type of mastectomy you have, I think it's really important for postoperative movement to use your common sense, to keep calm, and to feel what works for your body, no matter what kind of surgery your mastectomy was. One thing I would say, if you're going to have a mastectomy, is get a plan from your medical team so that you know what's going to happen. Even if you or the person you're supporting, some part of you feels, I don't want to know. It's important to know enough that you can take care of yourself, read up on it. And one thing I suggest to people is to do the exercises beforehand. First of all, it's going to feel good anyway, right? And second of all, you're prepared and kind of gets you in gear. So it's really important to communicate with your medical team because, as I said, it's different in every case. So you need to know what exercises are appropriate and on what schedule they're appropriate, when you can do them. For example, if you have drains, there's certain exercises you can't do until the drains are out, to take just one example. So there's a lot of variation. So your doctor, your nurse, your PA, your physical therapist, you might want to do some kind of planning in advance and to ask for a referral for physical therapy if you can, and if your insurance will allow that. If you already had your mastectomy a few weeks ago or 20 years ago, don't worry. There's always time to exercise, to start something. Don't worry, oh, I should have done that right from the beginning, or why didn't anyone tell me to do that? I mean, that's a good question. Why didn't anyone? But if they didn't, don't worry that, whoops, it's all over. No. You can always, always, always start moving and exercising and improve. So it's never too late. But do communicate with your medical team, whatever phase you're in. If you have found them less than willing, see if you can get a physical therapist. And also, I've got lots and lots of resources for you that I sent Erin a whole handout of all kinds of resources that you can ask the Red Door to send you about this. So right after surgery, whether you have outpatient surgery and go right home the same day, or you're in the hospital, there's a few things you could do. And I said, I hope this isn't just going to be a lecture, you just listening to me talk. What can you do right away at home or in the hospital? And right now, if you are having problems since your surgery, or if you're not, breathe. And I'm not being funny. I mean it really sincerely. Would everybody just, I'm not grading it. Would everybody inhale and exhale? And feel yourself inhale and exhale. I'm amazed at how unhelpfully professionals and friends tell other people to breathe. They say, take a breath, which means nothing. If you're nervous, you can go, doesn't help you, or you can go and hold it, doesn't help you. The first thing is just to notice that you're breathing. Right now, notice that you're breathing. Feel it. It's been going on this whole time. We're just joining our breathing already in progress. And the thing when you breathe, either when you're exercising or just sitting here like we are now, is to follow the inhale, but also the exhale. Let the breath out again. We tend not to let the breath go. And I'm going to come back to this again and again, because no matter if you're in the first phase of exercise or you had a mastectomy long ago and you want to be doing really complicated exercise, it's of no small importance to remember to breathe, to remember not to hold the breath. And to not hold the breath is much more important than to breathe well or properly or correctly. You will not hear me saying, let me tell you the right way to breathe. No. It's just about your body knows how to breathe. Listening to it already breathing. All right, so back to where we were. You just had surgery and you went home, or you didn't go home, you're in the hospital. Do what relaxes you. Listen to music if that relaxes you. You can have recordings that you bring to the hospital on your iPhone. Look at cartoons, whatever works for you. And do bring things along if you're going to have surgery. And then I say move. Well, what do I mean by move if you just had surgery? There's nothing wrong with the rest of you. And unfortunately, when we have surgery, unless someone tells us otherwise, if I have mastectomy, which I did, we tend to just not move anything. Well, there's nothing wrong with my neck. No matter how in pain or even freaked out I am about the surgery, I can exhale, move my neck, move my feet, move my toes, pump with my ankles and knees, breathe in and out, and then feel what kind of micro movement I can do in this area. Even just imagining, sending healing wishes there of things, healing well, scar healing well, blood flow sending nutrients. There's so much moving I can do. Get up and walk around. They'll want you to do that. You might not feel like it, but there's nothing wrong with your legs. Get up and walk around, even if you're having reconstruction and tissue is taken from your lower body, either a tram flap or a DIEP. Still, there's so much movement you can do. And again, do breathe. And of course, you may not want to move or get up and walk. So the nurse says, come on, honey, let's get up and walk around. Or the nurse says, let's walk down the hall. And you think, seriously? And you just sort of want to punch her out. It's really important to know you don't have to feel like doing it to do it. It's natural. Some people do, some people don't. Some people feel really lousy after and kind of dejected. Some people don't. Some people are ebullient, they're high. Oh, finally, this is over with. Some people are taking painkillers that make them feel that way, but however you feel, it's natural to feel like that, including, ugh. And even if you feel like that, it doesn't mean you can't breathe and move. I'm going to say again and again, you don't have to feel like doing it to do it. It's a really helpful principle. I found it for my surgeries, and I find it as a physical therapist. Very helpful principle. You don't have to feel like doing it to do it. You don't have to want to. Did everyone forget the whole thing of being here and breathing now? Is that already forgotten? It's amazing how fast it goes. Why not be comfortable now? You're listening to me, although I hope you're also going to move with me. But if you're listening to me, why not be as comfortable as you can? How comfortably can you sit? Of course, feel free to stand up and sit down again. Are you holding your shoulders? Can you let them go? And are you sitting well? Again, I'm not saying have good posture. I'm saying, can you sit in a supported way that feels pretty good? And movement is not just for the part that's injured. Movement is about the whole you, your whole body, your whole being, your whole person, not just the parts that had surgery. And if I move, I feel better. It's not just that the injured part or the healing part will feel better. I feel better. And when you're in the hospital or when you get home, you want to breathe and do exercises a few times a day if you can. In the hospital, you want to turn your attention, even if you can't do much, to breathing, feeling my body, moving the parts of me that feel fine, my feet, my ankles, pumping, whatever. Again, breathing. But then a few times a day, doing that, and then a few times a day at home, exercising however simply, however little. Even if you can do almost nothing, a few times a day, you'll feel the difference. Also, it's an amazing thing. Once you start, when you feel lousy, crappy, I can't do this, if you just start a little bit, it makes a difference. Well, it wasn't so bad. So these are some basic guidelines. I love the Canadian Cancer Society handouts, and they're on your list of resources that I made you. So if I'm going to exercise and move, and of course, I hope you're doing this anyway, if you had a mastectomy, wear loose, comfortable clothing. And after a warm shower, or if you're soon after surgery and you're not showering totally, you're sponge bathing or showering just parts of you. In any event, exercising after a warm shower or warm sponging is nice because the muscles are warm and relaxed. And you've never heard me say this before, have you? Breathe in and out deeply, easily, and often as you do each exercise. Now, this is really important because a lot of women hurt themselves and retard their healing, slow down their healing by thinking, all right, I can ace this, I can do this, I can lick this. And they exercise too hard. And that has the opposite effect. Plus, you have healing scars, you have drains. No matter what phase you're in, you just had surgery 3 weeks ago, you had it 6 months ago, you had it 20 years ago. Do the exercises until you feel a gentle stretch, not pain. Do the exercises until you feel a stretch, not pain. You can kind of go up to the edge of pain, but you're not looking for pain and you're not proving anything, no matter what anyone tells you. This is not a no pain, no gain situation, and this is not a work through the pain situation. If you want to slowly get back your range of motion, you feel the stretch, the lengthening. Another thing that is not often taught, don't bounce, don't make quick jerky movements, moving smoothly and slowly and in the range that you can. So the size that you can, the amount that you can, low force and slow timing is much more helpful. The exercises that are lying down, if you can get to a floor and you're happier on a hard floor, do them on a floor. If not, you can do them in bed. And in the beginning, you may prefer lying down to sitting or standing, but some people prefer to do this sitting and standing right away. So it's for you to decide what works for you. So you're aiming for steady, slow progress that doesn't cause you pain. And I don't know if everyone's told that. I really don't. And so the idea when you've just had mastectomy, whether it's bilateral, whether you needed it in both breasts or you were having it in one breast, so you electively did the other, or whatever your surgery is, you may feel like, what? Seriously, you want me to move a few times a day? I don't think so. And you may feel like you just can't. So if you feel like you can't move, breathe. And then if you feel like you can't move, you can't do exercises, I would invite you to visualize the exercise. Let's say you feel like I can't lift my elbow up like that. Or I can't climb my fingers up the wall in the shower, out of the shower. Well, I invite you to try imagining it, picturing it, visualizing it, and then do it. I'm also going to invite you to do that right now. Most of you are, I can't see most of you, but what I'm going to ask you to do is close your eyes and imagine doing, I don't know, let's say this movement, what after mastectomy is called wings, right? Don't do it, just imagine doing it. And then see, after you've imagined it, I don't know, 5 times, 7 times, slowly, smoothly. Also, you imagine it happening pain-free. What happens if you then try it? Does it feel a little different to do it after visualizing it? Can you feel that it actually had an effect? There's a lot of studies that have been done, many, many, many studies that imagining a movement, it's called mental practice, it's called motor imaging. You know, athletes use it, Olympic athletes, but any athletes, basketball players, gymnasts, we can use it. Imagine the movement and then do it. It makes it easier to do. You imagine it pain-free too. When you're exercising after any kind of mastectomy, it's important to talk to your medical team about the timing of your pain medication in relation to the exercise. First, what I'd like to say about pain medication is that although you would like to get off addictive painkillers, OxyContin or whatever, as fast as possible and only use them if you have to have them, you can't heal if you're in pain. You can't heal if you're in pain because you don't sleep, and you need to sleep to heal. So right after surgery, if you are offered pain medication and you're in a lot of pain, it's fine to use it in the beginning. And then if you want to not use it very long, it's fine to then use over-the-counter pain medication because you can't heal if you don't sleep at night. However, if you're exercising, you have to be aware, which is why I say talk to your medical team. If I take pain medication and I can't feel my pain, you know what people sometimes do? They do all this stuff that they're really not ready to do because they can't feel the pain. Then the painkillers wear off and they are in a lot of pain. So keep that in mind. I also want to talk about cording in relation to this, axillary web syndrome. That's when you get a kind of thin, tight cord in your armpit or down from your armpit. The tissue gets stretched really tight, and it happens often after surgery. It hurts, but it also makes people nervous. They don't know whether they can move and how much. That's a good time for physical therapy. Really talk to someone on your medical team about that, because there's therapy for that. There's self-massage. There's slow movement. All these things can undo that cording, and it does almost always go away if it's treated. Of course, one thing that most people worry about is lymphedema. And unfortunately, the medical advice used to be, oh, no, don't exercise. It'll give you lymphedema, which both put it on the patient, right? And made it their fault. If they got it, blame the victim, which wasn't true, wasn't their fault. And also made women afraid to exercise, which was really a shame. Then there are various people in the last few years who've done a lot of research. Not only does sensible, gradual exercise, smooth, gradually increasing exercise not cause lymphedema, but it actually, in some cases, can prevent it. And it does not worsen lymphedema in patients who have it. I want to say that again. Moderate exercise resumed gradually does not cause lymphedema and does not worsen lymphedema in people who already have it. So this kind of exercise that I'm talking about today and that your handouts will describe, starting breathing, just easy, and then starting to move your neck and your shoulders and your elbows, does not cause lymphedema and may help prevent it. And there's lymphedema pumping exercise, lymphedema preventive exercise, actually. So, and again, you can read about this in my resources, but I wanted to bring it up because I think it's something people worry about.
Julie?
Yes.
Hi, this is my name is Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Can you remind me what lymphedema is?
I'm so glad you asked that. You see, never assume. Thank you. And thank you, Melissa. And
You're
would
welcome.
Anybody and everybody, if I am saying something and you go, what the hell's that? Be Melissa. Okay, be Melissa. Yay, Melissa. So unfortunately, I can't see you guys while I'm looking at the PowerPoint. I won't see you all till afterward, but I'll look at you then. So yes, can you make that happen? My husband might be able to make it so I can look at you and see my PowerPoint. Lymphedema occurs sometimes after breast cancer surgery. Sometimes it doesn't. All over your body. You only know about them when you have a cold. Remember your lymph nodes, you get a cold and your mom would put her fingers here. She'd say, yeah, it's swollen. You have a bad cold, your lymph nodes are swollen. I have a system that is the sister of my blood vessel system. It's the lymph vessels. It's this clear fluid that flows through the body, and it siphons off waste from the blood and pumps the waste out of the body. And you have a lymph system. If you look at the diagram of it, it looks like your blood vessel system. What happens when you have not just breast cancer surgery, but many, many kinds of surgery is either lymph nodes are destroyed or stripped, or lymph vessels are injured, or there's pressure put on the lymph vessels. This can also happen from scar tissue or from a tumor. And what happens is you swell up in that part of the body. It gets swollen, right? You've seen that because people get lymphedema for a lot of other reasons besides cancer. Some people get it with diabetes, for example. But that's what happens, is the area In the case of breast cancer, it would usually be the arm. It's unusual, more unusual for it to be the breast, but the arm swells up. And that's called lymphedema, lymph meaning lymph and edema meaning swelling, right? And it happens in a certain proportion of cases. And I'm going to tell my husband to give up soon because I'd rather just go on with the lecture. This is not usually dangerous and big, but it in a small proportion of cases, it's big lymphedema. That's unusual, especially these days when the medical community is finally more intelligent about it. Oh, Melissa, I put a lot of stuff on your resource guide about lymphedema. It's sort of like a traffic jam in your lymph system, right? Instead of flowing through, it's like on the Bruckner Expressway at rush hour and all the cars are going and nobody can get through. And so there's swelling because the fluid can't pass through. Did I answer you, Melissa?
Yes, you did. Thank you.
Great. You're welcome. So, and again, be Melissa, people. Ask me questions when I mean, I want you to save individual ones that just apply to you for the end, but something like this, ask me right away. So the most recent studies show that early initiation of exercise, either at home or with a physical therapist, makes things better. An individualized exercise program tailored to you, and a physical therapist can do that, but so can you, right? By listening to your body and saying, you know what, I'm not going to do that when it hurts, or that one feels good. I'm going to be slow. Oh, but that feels good when I breathe and do that. I'm going to do more of those. An individual exercise program supports your healing from breast cancer surgery. And early exercise, breathing from the first day, moving a little and then gradually moving more, it improves mobility, it reduces your pain intensity, and it decreases limb problems like shoulder. You know, some people's shoulders get really stiff. Some people's elbow gets stiff. They just feel stiff in the whole area, the neck. It decreases those kind of problems. So beginning early and continuing to exercise increases your comfort, improves your quality of life, and speeds the return to activities of daily living, whatever it is, combing your hair, buttoning your shirt, right? And also some of those activities, they're kind of like good exercise. I say, can I button my shirt? I can go that high. I go higher, it hurts. Can I brush my hair? No, not yet, but I'm going to go as high as I can, stuff like that. And this is in your handout, I think. ASCO, the American Society of Clinical Oncology, they have a post where they say it reduces the problems in the whole upper limbs, the whole upper extremity, if you move and exercise right away, right? Exercise doesn't mean doing stuff that overwhelms you. It means moving. So that gets me right to my next slide. What I say, and I don't hear this enough very many places, when you start to move, when you start to exercise, how you move is as important as what you do. I'm going to say it again. How you move is as important as what you do. So if someone says, you know, you go look online, look on YouTube, I sent you a lot of YouTube links, or you're at Memorial Sloan Kettering or whatever, and they say 10 shoulder shrugs, okay, or 10 shoulder circles. So you go, okay, I can do that. Well, and then you feel awful. That is pointless. If I'm going to do shoulder circles, and let's do them, all right, let's do them. Everyone gets told, if there's anyone here who just had surgery, just imagine it, but let's just take shoulder shrugs. Everyone tells you to do them. But I would say breathe first. And then I would say, can you just do it on one side and the other? You see, I'm going slowly and smoothly. So the how is as important as the what. I would argue sometimes the how maybe is more important than the what. Doesn't that feel kind of good? right? Not bad, maybe good. Why don't you stop a minute and breathe and rotate your neck to the right and left easily. And when you do that, see that? Yes, I can see one or two brave people are letting me see them. Thank you, brave people. Or take it forth and back. And you breathe, and then you take one shoulder up and down. And now start to feel what happens as you take the shoulder up and what happens as you take it down, right? You go, oh yeah, that's a lot of muscles in that area. You can even notice this difference. I can take my shoulder up and bend my whole body with it and bring it down, right? Or I can take my shoulder up and slide it down without bending my whole body. Oh, and more people are letting me see them. Thank you. I can take my shoulder up and down without taking the body, right? Or I can take the shoulder up, but I can bend, the ear goes toward the opposite shoulder. I bend the ribs because the ribs get really tight too. Yeah. Now, if this hurts, be smaller. Someone who's going too fast or too, and if you haven't done this in ages, don't do it so fast or so much, okay? I'm not going to use names unless someone does something that scares me, but go slower, do less, especially if you haven't been doing this. Go slower, do less. Now, go back and just do the shoulder alone. Does that feel a little different? Then please don't do what I'm about to do. Don't do what I'm about to do. Isn't what we just did a little different? Saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Isn't that a little different? See, and now you could probably, oh God, I almost hurt myself. Slide them both up and down and you go, hey, that feels kind of good. Now shoulder shrugs prepare you for shoulder circles. Shoulder circles are when I let my collarbone and shoulder blade go forward and up and back and down. Now again, if instead of rushing through that, let your neck be easy. I do it slow and easy. Do it tiny, do it so tiny, I can't see it. Isn't that different than rushing through it? See, I'm looking for the principle of the thing. If I find the principle, I can now go from shoulder to shoulder. If I say, okay, what's this for? Oh, I can feel that gets to the muscles a little in the front chest wall and on top of my shoulder. Oh yeah, and my shoulder blade and in the armpit. Then you can vary it. You can do variations that work for you. Stop when you're ready. Do you feel a little different right now than you usually do after someone says, do 10 of these, do 20 of those? Yes, Julie is nodding. Yes, see, if I do it for me, right? If I feel what it's for, if the how is as or more important than the what, that's really different. So how you move is as or more important than what you do. And people think that this is, what's the word I want? Hallmark card or sentimental or saccharine if I say kindness toward your healing body, but I don't mean it like that. No. If you are kind toward your healing body in the way you'd be kind to someone else's, guess what? You heal much faster. So it really isn't saccharine, it's just common sense. So, and now what do I mean when I say sensing yourself move, feeling yourself move? What do I mean? What I mean is, even if I'm moving nicely, smoothly, easily, I can be thinking about other things. I can be thinking, oh, I have 5 more things I have to get to my boss before dinner. Or I can be thinking, what am I going to make the kids? And I actually finished the 10 and I didn't feel them. I don't know what I did. So it's also that you want to actually feel yourself moving. I don't mean feel yourself moving emotionally, right? I mean, sense yourself moving, feel it and say, oh, I did that too big. I'm not ready to do that. Let me do it smaller. Let me do it slower. And wait a minute. I don't have to tense my neck. Let me release my neck as I do that. See what I mean? So a gentle smoothness of movement is not for wimps. It's not for namby-pambies. It's sensible. So there's multiple reasons for exercise after surgery. It gets you in motion, and it gets the range of motion back in your arms and your shoulders. You need that. And in the chest, right? It improves muscle strength in the chest, in the shoulders, in the arms. It reduces fatigue, believe it or not. When you're moving and breathing, you never heard me say breathe before, right? It reduces fatigue. It will reduce pain and muscle tightness in your neck and shoulder and back. Not if you start out going too fast and doing too much. Nice, Julie. But if you listen to your body, it will reduce pain as well as fatigue. And it'll help you begin doing activities of daily living better and better. Again, whether it's combing your hair, dressing, showering, and it improves your overall sense of well-being, right? And not just in the area you think it will and should, the arm and shoulder, but I tell people, you know, your rib muscles are affected by this surgery, your spinal muscles. And you need to, yes, Suzette is nodding. You need to get back your spine, your rib cage, your torso muscles, not just because they're affected, but I said this before, I want to say it again. And I think this is part of post-mastectomy pain syndrome, which is a whole other thing if people have neurological damage, which I hope none of you did, and you have that syndrome. But even if you didn't, if people hold like this, see, I'm holding my rib muscles, I'm holding my stomach muscles, I'm holding my neck. It makes the pain worse actually and limits your range of motion. So you want to breathe, align, let go. So again, moving smoothly and gently. Moving smoothly and gently is another way of saying with less force. Use only the force you need. In our culture, we're mainly, what's the word, rewarded for moving with a lot of force, right? I can do 20 push-ups. I can run 5 miles. I can, oh, yay, we're rewarded for that, not for moving with less force and seeing how much force do I actually need to make this movement out and in. I'm going to do it with as a little force as I need, no more. That's a really new concept, and we need it after surgery. So low force, small and slow. Another thing that you need for this kind of exercise, when you need to stop, stop. When you need to rest, rest, and then start again. I don't hear that half enough from any professionals, not docs, not nurses, not Pilates teachers, not yoga teachers. I mean, the ones who say, oh, you can come to me after surgery. There are people of all those persuasions, doctors, nurses, PAs, physician's assistants, lymphedema specialists, definitely teachers who know that, but a lot of people don't. So you've got to know if you're going to go to class. It's important to do what you can right away, and not just people, not just for the muscles, but also for the lymph fluid that Melissa was asking about. So, you know what? There are movements like this, for example. This isn't just good for your fingers and wrists. You know what else this does? It pumps the lymph. It pumps the lymph. This isn't just good for your elbows and arms. I'm talking about way before you use weights. Go ahead and try these things with me, right? This pumps the lymph. This pumps the lymph. So and you can do this if you're lying in bed and you've had surgery on this side and you're exhausted and in pain, you can still lie there with this arm higher than your heart and slowly and gently, 15, 20 times pump. You can do that from the very first day, 15, 20 times. And then it also helps if you circle the wrists, right? Circle them the other way. So these things are nice for your muscles and for staying loose, but they also pump the lymph. So 15, 20 times of each, first in the hands, then circling both directions. Do you see how slow and easy I'm doing all this? Please try it with me. And then you see how different this is than lifting barbells? See how different? That's good, everybody. That's good, everybody. You can't be wrong. We're experimenting, right? You can't be wrong. And it feels good, right? Take time to let it open all the way. When you get to the bottom, I can't tell you, when you get to the bottom, just stay there a minute. Say, did I release my arm? And then come up again. So 15, 20 times pumping, your arm will feel better after. Do one arm and not the other and see if it isn't true. Hey, the arm I did smoothly and easily, really letting it let go, really, it feels better than the one I didn't do. And then later you can get faster. And then later you can use a 1 pound weight. And then later you can use a bigger weight. And then later you can use more weights if you want. But this is what you base it on, this sensing felt motion. Very nice. Very nice. And I say it again in this slide, if you have some swelling after surgery and it doesn't gradually diminish and go away, if your arm stays swollen, talk to your medical team, get a referral for a lymphedema specialist. A lymphedema specialist is not a physical therapist or massage therapist who took a 3-day course or a 2-hour course. A lymphedema specialist is someone who not only graduated from a course with a minimum of 135 hours of training, right? That's a lot of weeks. But then also worked with a whole lot of people, right? An experienced specialist. I have this in my resource list, ways you could get in touch with one, okay?
Excuse me, Julie, this
Sure.
Lillian DeAngelis.
Hello, Lily.
Hello. For the lymphedema specialist, is it still effective if you've had your surgery? I had a surgery mid-September. I mean, what is the window of opportunity here?
Oh, your window of opportunity does not go away, Lillian. Other people are think I'm gonna people are gonna think I paid you to ask that question, Lillian. Tell them I didn't. It never goes away. I've had people, I mean, really, this brings tears to my eyes, who've gone to a good lymphedema specialist 20 years later and finally gotten some relief. Lymphedema specialists are people who do this every day, right? They're not people, as I say, who took a 2-hour course. Lillian, 6 months, don't worry. Don't worry. There's 3 places in my handout. There's 3 places where I say you can go find a lymphedema specialist. I can't tell you that most insurance plans or Medicaid or Medicare are very good about paying for this, but a lot of massage therapists and physical therapists who are lymphedema specialists, they know how important it is. They'll work with you on that. Also, well, maybe I'll ask Aaron, maybe I'll send Aaron or my husband my other resource list, my lymphedema resource list. And I just did my lymphedema lecture for Aaron in July. So when I
you did.
Right. I'm going to do it again, people. I just talked about lymphedema for 90 minutes. So if you want to, we can do that again, right, Aaron? At some point, right?
Oh, yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So good question. Yes, there is always, always, always reversal possibility. Okay, always. So different types of surgery, you're going to have different restrictions, like say only 45 degrees circles to begin, or only 60 degrees, or only 90 degrees. That depends on your kind of surgery, which is why you have to talk to your medical team. But what I always say is, if this is all you can do, please do it. I mean, if you do it right now, sit or stand, and do this on one side, real gently and smoothly. Do a bunch this way, do it on one side and do a bunch the other way. But what is our watchword? Slow, smooth, small, breathe, sensing it. If you just do that much, can you feel how the side that you did do is different than the side that you didn't do? Can anyone feel that? Give me a thumbs up or a nod or a no. Good, good, good. So it doesn't matter how little the movement is. If you breathe and you're smooth, it's going to be helpful, right? And there are different exercises in different phases, right? The day of, I didn't put here, but not just the day after. The day of, breathing, moving your ankles and stuff. The day after, the first week, the second week, after 3 weeks, which is when a lot of the restrictions go away. After 6 weeks, things improve gradually in tiny increments. And I say, we will explore these exercises today, but what I've taken to doing since I first did this is doing it the way we do it, that I keep stopping during the lecture and we keep moving, which is so nice. Incidentally, and I think I don't remember who asked, was it Melissa, about lymphedema 6 months later. Exercise doesn't stop after 6 weeks. I keep doing it and I keep changing it. And then hopefully I develop a program that lasts for the rest of my life. Not just because I want my post-mastectomy area here to feel good, but my whole self. And that's a lifelong thing, lifelong. Not exercises you don't like, but exercises you do. We'll talk about that some more. So you progress very gradually. And I said this while we were moving. If you understand the principle behind the movement, you can do variations on a theme. For example, if you had surgery, a lot of you were told to do wall walks, right? Walking your fingers up the wall. Well, what's going on when you do that? I did it quickly. It's a gradual way of getting all the muscles under here to stretch a little and these to strengthen and get just their range of motion back. But if I understand the principle, then I can say, you know what? I don't like doing it with my fingers walking. I want to slide them. Or I can say, I don't like doing it at the wall. I want to do it not at the wall. Or you can say, I don't like standing up. It makes me nervous. So you can put your hands on a table and just stretch out on the table, right? That you can say, that doesn't feel right. How can I do it so that I can do it, so that it feels right? Again, I have a lot of stuff in your handout about this. So I have to listen to my body to do that. Yeah, that was nice, Julie. I have to feel my own body. I have to say, I know I'm supposed to do that, but that doesn't feel right to me. Those, like this is called a W, right? That W doesn't feel right to me. Well, guess what? It's going to turn out that either you're doing it too soon or you're doing it too hard, and that maybe you're not ready to do it, or that you want to do it just with your arms down real slowly, or like this, that you're not ready to do that. That's what I mean by listening to your body. And so you say, well, what's that for? They say it's opening the chest and squeezing the shoulder blades together. Well, let me try and do that with my arms down because I'm not ready to do it up here, right? Or let me put my hands in back of me. No, that doesn't feel good. And you say, that's too much for me. I'm going to do it like that. I'm not ready for my hands to touch. Yeah. You shape it to your body. You listen to your body. And also, if you're in pain, not necessarily from exercise and it doesn't go away, it's not lessening, tell your medical team. And advocating for yourself isn't an easy thing to do. I know we all think, oh, I'm not going to complain about this. I bet it happens to everyone. But how do you know? You know, you need to, even though it's not easy, you need to ask questions and tell them what's going on. And see if there's anything to do about it. And it's always good to write things down before you go to the doctor or the PA or whoever, especially if you think you're nervous and you leave and you say, damn, I meant to ask them about this, or I meant to ask them about that and I didn't. Or write the stuff down. It really helps. It really helps to write it down or have someone with you, although that's not always possible. And also, if you do it, you'll inspire someone else to do it. The only person who knows from inside how it feels to move your body after surgery is you, right? When someone says that shouldn't hurt, or, and people do say this, I can't believe it hurt that much, or, well, I don't understand why, or I know it feels hard, too hard here, but you don't have lymphedema because you don't have a, whatever it is, centimeter increase. No, you're the only person who knows from the inside if something doesn't feel right. I want to repeat, you don't have to want to do it to do it, right? You don't have to want to do it to do it. You may not at all feel like exercising. And that may be if your surgery, you haven't had it yet, or you just had it, or you had it 6 months ago, or you had it 2 years ago. You just, I don't want to, it's so boring, it's so hard. It just makes me remember how much it hurts. It makes me remember how stiff I am. Makes me remember how different I feel now than before. All those things which are natural. Try it anyway. You don't have to want to do it to do it. And I always say, just start, do one thing. Just do one little thing. Say, oh, I don't want to do any of that stuff. Just say, okay, but I'm just going to breathe in and out once. And just even try it right now, okay? I'm just going to breathe in and out. And maybe I'm just going to take my head down and back to the middle, and then up, and back to the middle. And you think, hey, that felt kind of good, you know? Now, if someone here now with me now, if it didn't, what would feel good? Let's say that didn't feel good to you. What would feel good? Does that feel good? Always breathing in and out, letting the ear go. And you say, oh, that feels kind of good, right? Does that feel good? Hey, actually, I'm breathing. I'm sitting tall. That feels kind of good. You just get yourself to start. And I swear, once you start, it's more possible to continue. And a question that I tell people to ask is, how could I mind this less? What could I do so that I mind doing this less? For a lot of people, that means putting on music. If you put on music, it becomes much more possible. And just do a little. Every little bit helps. I put lots of exercise programs on your handout, you know, first week, second week, third week, 6 weeks, after 6 months. But every tiny bit helps. You don't have to do the whole thing. Let's talk about classes. Gildas Club has wonderful classes of all sorts. I've been lecturing here a long time. I forget sometimes to call Red Door. Gildas Club is now Red Door. Red Door has lots of classes of lots of kinds. And there are many types of exercise classes that are good once your medical team has cleared you for classes post-mastectomy. Really important, not that you're always this lucky, but if you can find a knowledgeable teacher, it matters less whether you do yoga or Tai Chi or exercise, you know, progressive exercise, than that you find a teacher who's worked with people who've had cancer, who've worked with people who've had mastectomies specifically, because that's really different. Second thing is whether you're lucky enough to find a knowledgeable teacher or not. The willingness of the post-surgical student in class to say, I'm not going to do that one. So the teacher says, okay, everybody, let's do this. And you think, oh, I'm not going to be a wimp. Everyone's going to think I'm a wimp. I'm going to do that. No, you say, I'm not going to do that one. Or you say, I can't do that, but I'll do this. I'll do that, but I can't do, yeah. And the third thing is, if you can find a form of exercise that you like, so that it isn't like taking castor oil. Like Oh, I hate yoga, but yoga's good for me. If you hate yoga, I would find something else. Oh, I love yoga. Good. Then yoga's a good thing for you to do. Find a form of exercise you like. If you're lucky enough, I know when the summer comes and even the late spring, there are city pools that are open again after COVID. So I found this slide, but it doesn't have swimming on it. But swimming, yoga, tai chi, qigong, walking, right? Breathing. This is only a few things. What works for you? What kind of exercise works for you? I want to say again that the Red Door has so many different kinds of classes. Just check them out. The fact that you have to find a knowledgeable teacher if you can, be responsible for yourself. Don't do what's not good for you in any kind of class, and find something you like. That's even more true with strength training. And the effort scale of just effortless in terms of the amount of force I use down to maximum effort. I really need to have a very gradual and shallow slope after mastectomy, going back to, using soup cans or 1 pound weights even. I have to see when it's time even for that bit, or push-ups at the wall, just gradual. I'm sure you found you're at this lecture through the Red Door. Buddies, like doing it with someone, and groups, they're really helpful, not just for exercising, for many things. Like some of you may be in support groups here, but any activities, exercise certainly, but all activities, it's just easier to get yourself to do it, right? As part of a group. Say it's 3 o'clock on Thursday. We're all going to do Aikido, whatever it is, So really be with people who are going through the same things you are. It makes a big difference. It's easier to get yourself to exercise regularly or to do anything regularly. I'm going to say again, obviously, I'm a physical therapist. I'm prejudiced about movement. I think movement is crucial, but keep moving. Once you've gone through all these phases and you're several months after surgery, just all kinds of low impact forms can be useful. Swimming, yoga, tai chi, qigong, and many forms of dance, people. If you like to dance, dance. Dance is great exercise, not just in a dance class, but going out dancing or just dancing in your living room. And ask everyone if they know of movement classes where there are teachers who are comfortable. They've had some training and working with breast cancer survivors and people who've had surgery, because it's great to find teachers like that. But whether you do or not, you can go to any of those classes, find a thing you like, and see what can you do in it. You have to find something you enjoy doing, because then you'll do it. So if you enjoy dancing, use dance. Dance to the music of your choice. Makes a big difference. Okay, now some other important aspects of rehabilitation and recovery besides movement. And I'm going to stop here and say, is anyone still breathing? Is anyone still aware of her body and her shoulders and her neck? Or did you go back to stuff you have to get done for work, or you have to get the laundry done, or when is this going to be over, or whatever it is? Come back into relaxing the whole body, feeling the whole body, breathing, sitting upright. I mean, right now you could have this minute break of taking care of yourself. Maybe this is a good time for me to get my balloons. I invented something. I'm going to get my balloons. I had a woman come to me. She did not come to me because of her cancer surgery. She came to me because she broke her shoulder. She tripped and broke her shoulder. That's why she was seeing me. but I asked her questions and so on, and I read her history. And she'd had a double mastectomy 22 years ago. She was a very lovely woman and very knowledgeable, and she was a body worker herself. So she was very enthused and amenable about what I was saying. So that was part of it. But what I noticed is that whenever she moved, or lifted, she shoved her elbows into her sides and sort of came over here and lifted like this, right? And she had a lot of problems here. I think also when she fell and hurt her shoulder, she fell like this, right? So after we'd known each other a long time, she trusted me. I asked her if she would let me massage her here. And she said, sure. And I was very careful, and I started to massage her here. And she said that she didn't think she had done that or anyone had done that in 22 years, that she didn't think she'd felt that part of her body 22 years. Then I went and did it here, right? And she said she didn't think she'd felt there in 22 years. Now, 22 years ago, it was very different how they did this, right? Things have changed somewhat for the better. And if you do it right now, people on one side and not the other, if you massage yourself, slow, gentle, do about 10% of the force you want to use. Massage here and down here, only on one side so you can compare. And then once you're massaging, then you can say, oh, I can stretch a little more. But remember, you're relaxing the neck, you're breathing, you put it down. And after I did that, I said, well, how do you feel? And I'm asking you now, how does it feel? Does it feel a little different? And then if you feel the difference on the two sides, I'm saying this to you now, today at the Red Door, do it on the other side. Slow and easy. Don't use all the force you want to. Be smoother and easier than it's your automatic habit to massage here. Well, if you then, after you do that, if you try moving, I think you'll feel that you have more mobility. And yes, I'm looking at some of you. Yes, do it across the front. Do it under your surgery. Do it on top of your surgery. Well, with this patient that I had, it made such a big difference. That's really good what I'm seeing. See, just experiment. You can't be wrong. I read the most beautiful thing the other day. It was in a biography of Leonardo da Vinci by Walter Isaacson. And it said that Leonardo da Vinci, who didn't have very much schooling, was a disciple of experience and experimentation. I love that. So experiment with what feels good for your body. So you may be feeling, some of you, that, yeah, that actually feels different if I massage across here and then move. Well, what I then did, because this patient was shoving her arms into her sides, I put balloons under her arms. And you could try this sometime this week if you want to. I put balloons under her arms and I said, just walk around with it. Forget they're there and just walk around with these balloons under your arms. I didn't blow them up all the way so she wouldn't be afraid to pop them. Mine are uneven. I gave her even balloons. And I just told her to walk around, bend her elbows, straighten them. And finally, I took the balloons out. And you can try this. And she said, wow, I have air under my arms. I feel my ribs and so on. And you can try that. There's a Taiji master that someone told me. He said, pretend you have little puppies under your arms. And I thought, then you'll be afraid of strangling the puppies or suffocating the puppies. I thought balloons were much better than puppies. So now I'm going to go to, and I'm almost done because you might have some other questions, although I'm trying to answer them as I go. Other aspects of rehabilitation and recovery. Scar massage, right? Not right after. I think it's about 3 weeks after. If you're 6 months out or 10 years out, you know what? You can still massage your scars. It's never too late. Guided imagery is good. Meditation. And I have a lot of stuff in my handout about that. Walking, just walking, good old fashioned walking, not special walking, just walking, breathing and walking. Good nutrition, eating healthy, well-balanced meals. I saw one or two of you drinking water during this session, which I applaud. Drink plenty of water every day. I mean, really, we should, if you can, it's great to drink 64 ounces of water a day, right? But just whenever you think of it, drink a glass of water. It's not always easy to get regular sleep, and it's been a very difficult time with COVID and so on, but you're welcome, Lillian. So Lillian said she has to go. You're very welcome, Lillian. And you're looking forward to receiving the handout. Good. So regular sleep if you can. Whatever helps you keep your sense of humor. Whatever lets you relax. And again, being good to yourself is not namby-pamby. It's just good sense. What would you do for someone else that you cared about, that you loved? If you like music or dance, do that. Picnics, parties, nature hikes, comedy films, detective novels, or I don't know, whatever you like. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Gardening or raunchy novels or whatever it is, K-pop, doesn't matter. Do stuff that relaxes you and makes you feel good. And again, keep moving. And it's never too late to begin including movement and exercise as part of healthy living. 20 years after your surgery, 30 years after your surgery, things are still possible. And the references for this lecture, I told you, they're on a separate handout, which Erin has. And I'm not always good at this. I managed to end early in case there were questions.